and be chatting with you. It's good to be back for another Better Call Saul YapZ episode. How we doing today, Andy?
Good, man. Yeah. Happy Sunday. It's
Happy Sunday for sure.
yeah, nice to be chatting across the pond.
A million percent. We were chatting with the COC in the space last night, and it was cool to hear the different things about English and American foods and different things that they were talking about and sharing. So yeah, it's great to have you here. It's early in the morning here, but more in the afternoon. It's always great to be able to chat with people from all over the world, and I think that's kind of the power of the COC and Web3 as a whole. So it's wonderful to have you here. I'd love for you to give just an intro. Who is Andy? And yeah, I would love to get your bio.
Sure, man. Thanks for having me. And yeah, everybody, I'm Andy. Call myself Hangry Andy. I would say probably a bit of a veteran in the creative space. It'd be 27 years maybe. I know this face looks fresh, but underneath, inside, I'm haggard. You know, just been doing this for a while. Um, but yeah, 27 years. I've been a creative director. I've been a developer. I've run studios. I've owned an animation studio. Sold that. Was a leader, sort of creative lead in a creative agency for 15 years of my life, and decided that that weren't for me. It was not the thing that brought me joy. So I jumped ship and joined smaller creative agencies and didn't quite like that either. So I started my own with a group of people back in 2019, just as the pandemic was about to hit. You know, when you start something and then crap hits the fan, it was one of those moments. But we did that for 4 years. But in the midst of doing all that, I discovered Web3 and I discovered the community and everything that comes with it, you know, build with a community. And I suppose that's where a bit of a transition happened for me, because 15 years in agency, when my core being is all about creativity, it's all about building ideas and articulating those. Maybe it comes from myself, so I'm on the tool, so I'm able to share and sharing that vision with other people who believe in the same thing, and we build together. But when you're a leader in a creative agency, you don't really get enough time to be on the tools, and I think that was a massive part for me of jumping away from that, and finding my feet, finding illustration again, doing live streams, and enjoying the process of creating for myself. And that's where the doors open for Web3 and everything that we now know, really, between us and the community of communities and everything. So heart of hearts, I'm just a pure creative who gets too obsessed at times and wants to roll his sleeves up and dig deep into anything he can get his hands on.
I love that. I love that a lot. I think both my fiance and I talk about both the process of going more into science or engineering. And as you get deeper and deeper into your career, you do actually less and less of the thing. And it's the same, like you said, of with the creative side, is if you're going in a creative studio at a certain point, you're just doing less and less of that actual creativity part, and you're more managing other creatives. And while that can be great and powerful, it gets you away from sometimes the thing that you love. So it's really cool to hear that kind of like full circle moment for you, and being able to hear how it kind of just timed itself. While you say shit hits the fan, at the same time it kind of worked itself good, because you were able to be at a point where you were accepting of something like Web3, in a point where you're at a small agency and able to learn more about it and actually dive into it. And I think then the community part, like you said at the very end there, it's super powerful to have the community build in public. Like those two things, I think are huge, is growing the community, and even more so when you're trying to create a game, especially in Web3, which has been its own challenge, because everyone in that space has either burned themselves out going too early, or not had enough planning to go long term, right? And I think that's been a really powerful thing that I've seen with you and you guys, where you guys have been really in it for that long term, trying to build a platform and ecosystem where people can get involved early and see the process as it goes before you get to that finished final product, which I think is super powerful in being a fan of an ecosystem. And I would love for you to touch a little bit on that.
Yeah. Yeah, sure, man. Thank you. And I think there's a danger, really, especially in Web3, where you show too much too early, right? And I think a lot of projects that are now kind of dead in the water really have either, as you said, blown out. They've blown a budget. There's no finances left to continue trying to build the thing they want to build, or the technology's not quite there, because the age-old adage, we're really early, we're super early. And from a technology standpoint, I don't think anybody has figured out the right formula to utilize that kind of on-chain kind of mechanisms for gaming, especially high octane RPGs or live service style games with a Web3 component. They're really tricky to get right. But for us, I think staying the course of time has been pure resilience, being able to pivot, trying to understand the needs of players, gamers, and a unique proposition that we're toying with and we are playing with, right, is the charitable component. Now, when you add the charitable component in the mix with Web3, that becomes even more of a conversation, because charities shy away from unpredictability, from financial kind of mechanisms and stuff. So we have to figure out ways to understand, when you build a game or you build a platform for games that have a Web3 component, how do you ensue trust in the charity partners that Web3 or a token or some form of reward mechanism within that system is viable, is trustworthy, has none of the negativity that comes with Web3. And that's kind of where we are, at the moment, is figuring out how much of a component do we place into the platform does Web3 play. It can't be the be all and end all. It can't be the entire solution. It's a technology stack, right? It's a layer of technology that we need to understand.
Boom! Couldn't say that better myself, right there. Right. That is such a well placed way of saying it, right? And I think, especially in gaming, right? I think even more in crypto in general, but then like in gaming, you see a lot of other people trying to tout that as a product, as opposed to building something that's fun and that you can and want to play, that has an extra component that is an extra flavor, right? Not the whole thing, the whole meal.
100%. And I think that's where we are, right? So the proposition as it stands is Hangry Animals is a gaming for good platform, where the subscription service, the model, and the games that we offer to our audience have a component for donation mechanisms, potentially as part of that subscription service, so it doesn't sit inside each of the games, but offering the community the opportunity to articulate to us what charities they wish to support from a list of charities that we provide, whether they be animal welfare, mental health awareness, food poverty, all of those facilities and systems are something that we want to embed into the experience. But as you said, we have to build things that people want to play. So it's all about following the fun, and beyond that, with community help comes growth, progression, and then more partnerships, more charitable relationships with charitable causes. So it all ties in quite nicely. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're talking a lot about Hangry Animals. Do you want to give me a little summary? How did the idea come up? What's the origin? Where did Hangry Animals start?
Sure. Myself and another member in the community were aware of each other in the Web3 space. I was helping out on some pretty innovative projects at the very beginning of the second kind of bull run, I guess, 2018, 2019 into 2020. I was working with a project called RFI, or Reflect, and it was the first reflected token. So it distributed a percentage to every holder from each purchase and every transaction. And I think from that, Safe Moon took the code and then went to the moon and then went to jail for financial fraud. So, but in that space, I grew relationships with a lot of people, and they loved what I was doing creatively. And it just so happened that I connected with one of the other members in the community and said, we should do something together. We should do a project. I don't know what it is yet, but we should try and figure out what that project could be. And at the very same time, I was starting to want to illustrate for my well-being, for mental health and well-being. I wanted to get back to me. The thing when you're trying to hold on to your soul, trying to find your essence again. And I found that through illustration. So there was this moment really where there was a gel of an idea we started riffing about with thoughts, and he had ideas about doing hungry hippos, but calling it Hangry Hippos. And I was like, yeah, that's a bit restrictive. It means we're only focusing on hippos. And it was purely an NFT collection, nothing else at the time. So I made a suggestion. I said, well, why don't we call it Hangry Animals? And we can then spin that out. Let's start with 5 different characters. And I started doing live streams. There was no project at that point. I just started simply doing live streams of me illustrating characters on Twitch, and people would show up and I'd say, what character should I draw next? So we ended up with a hippo, a moose, a zebra, a bear, and a gorilla as one of one illustrations. And this sort of dawned on us then. I said, well, that would be a really interesting collection as an NFT collection. And this was like end of 2020, 2021. So I just started working on that. And in the same breath, ETH was starting to climb, and it was getting up to the 3.5, 4K USD. And we were like, we should do this. We should do an NFT collection. But it took, I'm slow. I'm very slow, but I don't care. I'm slow for a reason. I want to get things right. I want to perfect things. And it takes me a while to get going. But once I'm going, I'm like a machine, hyper focus, forget to do all the usual things, eat, sleep, piss, whatever. So I decided to just take our time, build a collection, and enjoy that journey and enjoy that process. And we simply started building the community around that, and people liked what I was doing. I was sharing stuff in Discord and enjoying just ideating and coming up with what this would be. And the first origins of what Hangry Animals was going to be was an animated series raising awareness about animal welfare and habitat destruction. But small minds, big ideas, not very little finance to be thinking about that stuff at the time. It's a long shot to be going traditional mainstream commercial mindset to be trying to raise finances for an animated series with a team that nobody knew, backgrounds or legacy of work they'd created in the past. So it became a thing we were like, we should put that piece on the back burner and start to consider actually what we really want to build. And for me, that's when the stuff around impact came in. How can we use games, merchandise, the selling of goods, comics, all of those pieces that come with building an IP? How can we utilize the sale of those items to benefit a good cause, charities at home and further afield? And that's where we stumbled upon the idea of building a series of games. And each of those games were trying to introduce an element of behavior change without it being thrown in people's faces, with cool characters rather than it being the tearjerker, pluck the heartstrings opportunity with narrative-based games that just fall into that really odd category of being interesting but boring. So I think the opportunity was there, and that's where we've been chipping away at for the last couple of years, really, is trying to find our feet, understanding the audience, understanding what the unique selling point is, and then move forward from there. And that's where we are today, just building a prototype for one of the games for the platform, which is a sort of food delivery racer style game. Yeah, we're trademarked, so that's a weird one. We about a year and a half ago, we had filed for a trademark in the USPTO in 3 categories. So we have merchandise, we have downloadable game solutions, and entertainment content. It's good to get that, and it's good to get that in the US, purely because most of the online platforms, social platforms, are registered in the US and they have a base in the US. So any opportunity where people want to capitalize and maybe try and use our IP, it's easier to issue takedown requests from US entities via the USPTO. So that was one strategy. But yeah, everything stems from that, really. You know, we got comics. So I've been illustrating a series of comics.
That's awesome.
So we got these.
I actually haven't seen those before, so that's really cool.
They're available on cryptocomics.com.
Oh, please send me the link, because I'll add it to the description for sure. That looks awesome. I'm super excited because we're both sharing that front cover on that the COC book as well, which is super exciting. It was really cool to meet you and see, at least from my angle, the part of the process and watching it through and through. And for me, having the COC's blessings, a huge thing. So it was always cool to just be like, okay, cool. Like, what's Andy doing? And not trying to figure out more of the background, which I think really helps. Because other projects you have to dive into okay, what is this person doing? But then the other thing I saw that was okay, I was also coming in and post bear market of NFTs. So most NFT projects that were still around were doing XYZ thing. And the reason I saw you guys as not necessarily another NFT project was the idea behind the, not just putting traits, NFTs out there with traits, but then kind of creating and ideating around a traits shop where you can change and switch around traits, and thinking through, okay, we're doing this NFT launch, but then what are some of these next things that can actually make it more powerful? And then, it coming now really full circle because you're making a game, and then that to be actually physically playable and changeable, so you can really customize the character to what you like, not just what you randomly mint, which I think can be really cool, because you might be able to find free to play upgrades just by really playing the game a ton, or pay to win if that's the type of person you want. And that's some of the games that I grew up with a little bit, which is pretty cool. And I really like that concept of it. So I would love if you want to pop a share screen to share a little bit of Hangry Animals, where you guys are at. If you want to share a little bit of where you guys are kind of going and what you kind of planning on putting out there and wanting to share with the community over the next little bit, and where you're going with it.
Sure, man. Just shared my screen now. So we use Unity as a development tool, and at the moment, I'm in the middle of setting up several different enemy types. And this enemy type is what we call a Unibot. Each of the characters of the sort of the games and the ecosystem that we're building, each of these characters has a space in the universe, but they'll also have a smaller NFT collection backed with them. So these will have custom traits, these will have custom utility in that. But this is a Unibot character that in the delivery game we have a Unibot who's changed allegiances. He's no longer an enemy, he's your best friend, and he's a delivery strategy guy. So he'll tell you where the best deliveries are, how efficient and how optimized you'll
Yeah,
be.
he helps you follow the game.
He helps
Like,
you follow.
yeah, the
So
plot. That's
he's your
cool.
guide. He's your guide.
Yeah.
So this is what it looks like, and we're going for this toon shaded look.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're from that era, but I've only recently reconnected with a game on the Dreamcast called Jet Set Radio.
I have never played that, no.
Check it out, man. Jet Set Radio is you're part of a inline skater gang who goes around tagging the city with your graffiti, and then you battle other inline skate gangs to dominate the city streets, and it's just awesome. But it's got the lineage and the continuation of those projects, those games. Go Jet Set Radio Futures on the Xbox, and then Hi-Fi Rush, which is a more recent game that is PlayStation. I think it was a Steam release as well. But it's that toon shaded look that I was so intrigued by. And it just gets you away from these high definition, high res render experiences that I wasn't really a massive fan of. But this just gives a distinctive little look to what we're after. Especially
I love it. Yeah.
when you look at these are 2D characters. I do love my 2D cartoons, and especially if we're targeting an audience that is in the tweens, so you're 11 to 15, 16, right? Then that audience is more interested and is more appealed by 2D than they are 3D. You look at X-Men 97 or Invincible, those kind of IPs where they go for a 2D look, but they may have some 3D elements in them. And I think our games will lean into that, where we definitely have this aesthetic. I think it's going to look cool. But so this is one of the robots. These can attack you with different things. They're only at the moment these attacks are what we call blockouts. So I'm purely doing some blockout tests with them at the moment. And if you can see my screen, then we hop on over to Blender. So I'm a bit of an ambivert, so I multitask. I have ADHD, so I can do it with ease. But it means I pick up new tools and new skills quite quickly, and two of which is developing in Unity and then building characters and then animating them in Blender. So this is an animation track, and you can see that's the robot, one of the robot attacks, and then they land to the ground and stuff. So, and it's great because all of this starts building a portfolio of characters, movement, IP that transfer and translate from games into animated series if we so wish, right? All of these characters are rigged, they're ready.
Yeah, you're creating all the primitives for whatever you need to do with the IP of the characters.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
So
because gaming is kind of the Mac, you need everything, right?
Yeah, sound, audio, background loops of spot effects, bed of music for the actual levels themselves. They have to loop at certain points, and they ramp up in intensity as you get progression through the level. You've got to think of a lot of things.
I'm
just going to show you briefly just a very short test that I'm playing with at the moment.
Awesome. I love it.
This is in relation to gameplay. You won't see much polished stuff. So everything in Pink is untextured or has no material attached to it because I broke something earlier. That's gameplay. You break
right.
stuff every 5 freaking minutes.
I love it.
So when I in this test level, when I traverse over this gray sphere, it tells me I need to go and pick up one donut and deliver it to a town hall. So from the top of my head, I know where the donuts are because I placed them on the level. But yeah, you can do a lot of stuff. You can jump in the air, you can spin around, do, all of the magical stuff, and just spin back so I face the right way. There we go. So there's my pack of donuts, and then if I can accelerate, I can jump and spin in the air.
That's super cool.
And then the arrow signposts me to where the delivery point is.
Yeah.
It disappears. We have a character that slides in and animates and communicates how happy they are that their delivery has arrived on time. And then we're off to the next delivery. There's 3 deliveries in this round. So I've got you can't read it very well there. There's 3 sushi and 3 pizzas. I mean, this is a demanding order right now. So I got to go and let me get rid of that because that's jelly. I don't want jelly. Sushis and pizzas. So I'm going to go and grab my...
That's cool.
So I've got all of the stacks and everything we need animating to them.
That's super cool.
So you can see all the physics that's happening. I jump up in the air. I can do a little jump in the air and they'll just bounce. So lots of like physics that I've been playing with for a while happening. If you accidentally pick up a bomb, and this explodes in 5 seconds and it will remove everything off your stack. So I don't want that.
So you can drop things.
You can drop things. You just press the X key and you can drop things.
I see.
The important thing there is that there's obviously going to be a measure of accuracy. So if you deliver more items than you should, you get punished or penalized financially. If you deliver the exact
and when you drop them, can you re-pick them up?
You can, yes, you can pick stuff up.
I see. So then is there a maximum amount of things like also that then it'll fall over?
Yeah. So the higher things go, the more unstable your stack becomes.
Yeah, I love that. That's cool.
So I can go and grab quite a few things over here. Let's see if there's any. Because the level is set up to only spawn enough items for a delivery with a little bit of peppering and extras and stuff. You can see now how I've got some enemies chasing me. There's a drone in the air that if it gets close enough is going to steal items off the back of the bike.
Wow.
I've got some stuff where I can freeze time if I pick that up, so I can top left hand corner. I can freeze time.
Okay.
So yeah, the world is against you is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And then this is just a sample of how to climb up steps, which is really difficult to do in game dev. Actually, is to figure out how can I get the character to go up the steps. But the jiggling about is something that I'm super happy with. But yeah. So lots of stuff to do, but I think the mechanics and what we call the core game loop, I think it's there. I've just got to tweak lots of stuff like speed, what your pickups look like, reward systems, how happy the customer is with their delivery. So if you've dropped stuff and then picked them back up, how that affects your customer's attitude towards you, and that affects your score as well. So lots of time spent on the stacking mechanics, and then there's after you've delivered 3 rounds of deliveries, you may be offered the opportunity to deliver like a big bowl of soup, unless it gets stolen by a drone. So there's a drone that has stolen the soup, and it keeps nicking other stuff from me. So yeah, lots of things happening, lots of stuff to figure out, and then balance, and all that. But we're getting to a good place with it. Well, because I'd figured out that main loop, I was focusing more on the unibots and then the crawler creatures who I think if this is a crawler, these crawler creatures are what you saw in the level, but I thought, do you know what? It'd be great if they could climb walls.
Oh my.
Climb walls, and if they could leap at you. So it's broken at the moment, but essentially,
Yeah.
oh yeah, there you go. It's climbing over the dome.
Yeah. That's cool.
But
And then it jumps off. It could jump off it at you.
yeah, so all of this driven by AI movement, not AI as in what we all know it as today, but
Yeah.
in artificial intelligence brain of the game
Yeah.
would know that you're close to a building and then set you climbing the walls of that building, and then the spider could potentially jump off that building towards your player.
Character. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's super cool. I love it, Andy. Thank you so much for showing us the demo. Like this was really great to see a little bit more of like the back end of what you've been doing, building, sharing a little bit more with us, and it's just really great to have some of the COC pull up as well. Do you want to share where people can find you and the rest of the Hangry Animals?
yeah, man. Follow us on Instagram, X. There's a Telegram group, Hangry Animals Community. I spend a lot of time posting stuff in Discord. So if you go to any of our social channels, you'll be able to pick up a link tree, and there's a link tree with all of the channels in there. I think if I paste it, where can I paste it?
You can put it in the chat here, and it should be able to do it. But if not, I can always send it and put it in the description with that comic as well. So yeah.
Where do I? If I do H, yes, I'll put the link tree in here.
Perfect.
I think it's that. Let me just double check. I don't know whether there's an @ sign or not with Linktree. There isn't. So there. I just put it in our private chat. I don't seem to be able to post on the.
Amazing. No worries. I'll pop it up here, and we'll put it.
Yeah.
Put it up on the screen.
The best way to stay up to speed with what we're doing really is to sign up to the newsletter. We do a bi-weekly newsletter and share the vibes of what we're building. Any updates, any events and conferences we've been to, and there should be one in the next week with some pretty exciting updates of what we've been up to from a conference perspective. We just come back from London Games Festival about a week or so ago, and we attended a day called Games for Change, which is right up our street. It was literally all about impact, games with impact. And we had an amazing time, met some amazing people, and we'll definitely have a sway in what we do in that space in the near future as well. So yeah, lots of stuff happening. I may not be as prolific and as frequent posting on Discord because we also have a creative agency that we've set up called Hangry Studio, basically off the back of people seeing what we were building with Hangry Animals and wanting the same. So we've ended up actually providing services to other customers in Web2 space with toys, lots of product, lots of brand apps and experiences to finance the progress and the growth of what we do in Hangry Animals, really. So it's a fine balance. But yeah, loving it.
Awesome. No, I love it. I'm super excited. I always catch a newsletter and quickly go through and see like a little summary of what's going on. But I've been for quite some time meaning to catch up with you. So I was really glad this week when you reached out and you're like, let's catch up. And I'm super glad I got a chance to see and share a little bit of a demo with everyone here of what you guys are doing, because it's awesome. It's great to like have your energy in our communities. And we appreciate you for everything you do. Thank you for popping on today, taking time out of your day. And
Pleasure.
yeah, we'll catch you all soon. Thank you, everyone, for joining in.